This is the Child Rights Center of Sukhumi State University. This is one of the 7 state universities in Georgia that establish child rights centers. And these centers are already spreading the knowledge on child rights beyond the walls of the university, reaching out to schools, to the community, and this is why we are very proud of Sukhumi State University and the other 6 state universities in Georgia who are playing a major role for the promotion and protection of children's rights. Our topic for today is partnerships for children's rights, because there is no way we can implement meaningfully the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child without having strong partnerships. And the first partnership is the partnership with children and young people themselves as rights holders. It's extremely important to keep listening to the children, to what they want, to the kind of cities and towns and villages they want to grow in, to the kind of nations they would aspire to the kind of education they would like to get from schools. And that's why partnering out with children and young people themselves is crucial in order to implement meaningfully the Convention on the Rights of the Child. This is very much in the spirit of Article 12 of the Convention and Article 13 to 17, which represent the main civil rights part of the Convention. And within the partnership with children and young people comes also the partnership with their parents, the partnership with the teachers, the partnership with the caregivers. So all those who affect the lives of children are listened to and their opinions are taken into account. The other partnership that comes immediately to mind is the partnership with the government, because governments are responsible mainly for the implementation, and I would say for the full implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child after ratification of the Convention. A state party, which is a party that ratified the Convention, is obliged to take all the measures, legislative measures, administrative measures, societal measures to implement fully the Convention. So the partnership with the government is crucial, and the cooperation with the government should be a constructive one in order to implement all the principles and the provisions of the Convention. In parallel with the government, there should be a strong partnership with the Parliament as well, because the Parliament is first responsible to ensure the harmonization of the national laws with the provisions of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The harmonization process should be in principle conducted and completed before the ratification. But because countries are encouraged to ratify, the jurisprudence of international law accepts that the harmonization process continues even after ratification. And once all the national laws are harmonized with the Convention, then the Parliament should make sure that full implementation is happening, implemented by the government. And this is a key role that all parliaments worldwide play in monitoring the implementation of laws, and the Convention after ratification becomes an integral part of the national legislation, and therefore every parliament has the obligation to monitor the implementation of the Convention. In this context, it's very important to mention that Georgia has established, according to the Code on the Rights of the Child of Georgia, a permanent council in the Parliament for the protection of children's rights, and the main task is to monitor the implementation of the Code on the Rights of the Child and of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is mentioned in the code, in the article related to the best interest of the child, where it stipulates that the best interest of the child should be implemented primarily by the family according to the code and to the UN Convention. The other partnership that I would like also to mention, which is a very important partnership as well, is the one with the civil society. Civil society organizations play a very important role in promoting democracy in the society, in promoting a liberal society, a society that accepts everyone. Inclusion is one of the main objectives also that civil society should be calling for. And that's why the partnering out with the civil society is very important to make sure that the Convention on the Rights of the Child is fully implemented. And many times in many countries we have seen the civil society establishing a pressure, a positive pressure on the governments to take crucial measures to implement a specific article or a set of articles or a certain principle which is extremely important, like the principle of non-discrimination in Article 2 of the Convention, or the principle of the right to development in Article 6, or the right to participation, Article 12, or the best interest of the child in Article 3 of the Convention, which in fact constitutes the main philosophy of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Independent human rights institutions are also very important. They have a significant role to play for the implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. They conduct thematic studies, and these studies inform the government and the parliament and the civil society as well on the situation of children and on the rights of children and to what extent these rights are violated in the society. So the thematic research and the actions taken by independent human rights institutions should be taken very seriously. And the government, the parliament, the civil society should invest very well in these studies, in these facts revealed by the independent human rights institutions. But needless to say here that these institutions should be really independent and should care for the best interest of the children. And this is when globally in every country they become very much respected, and the findings they announce, the findings they disseminate, they are taken very seriously by all partners. Another partner for children's rights is academia. And again, today, from the center, from the Child Rights Center of Sukhumi State University, I would like to stress the very important role of academia in the implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Academia plays an important role in the life of every country, but the concept of the Child Rights Centers that have been established in Georgia in 7 state universities made these universities reach out to the communities, and as I mentioned earlier, they are spreading the knowledge on child rights beyond the walls of the university. So this is very important because they are connecting to schools, they are connecting to the community and promoting child rights, and this is bringing together the knowledge of professors, the knowledge of students, and the knowledge from the real life of children and young people in the society. Religious and community leaders are also very important partners, and the partnership with the affected population within a community-based approach is extremely important. And this is what we have been doing And this is where we felt that the children's rights have reached really the beneficiaries directly through their community leaders. And one of the impressive partnerships that we have developed in Georgia is the partnership with religious leaders, whereas UNICEF has, with all religious denominations in Georgia, a very strong partnership, and we work together to promote and protect children's rights. And one period which was very significant where we worked together was the period of the COVID-19 pandemic, and especially on the issue of reducing violence against children. I would like to mention also the private sector. The private sector, in addition to the need of having a corporate social responsibility approach and strategy, also the private sector can be a great supporter for projects and programs to fully implement the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The private sector is a crucial part of the society, and it is very logical that they are a very strong partner in the journey of implementation children's rights. They are needed first to make sure that their policies in the business sector is compliant to the international child rights law, and they are needed as well to make sure that all their employees and their products are compliant with the child rights standards. They are as well needed to support the projects, specific projects for children, such as water and sanitation, quality education, inclusive education, protection from violence, protection from harmful practices, and all the other areas where children's rights should be upheld. So within the spirit of partnerships, and this is the spirit of the SDGs as well, the Social Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda, within this spirit, partnerships become crucial to implement children's rights. And nowadays, we are talking about the whole of society approach, which is an approach that entails working with everyone, working with every actor, working with every community, with affected populations, with community leaders, with the parliament, with the government, of course, with the civil society, with independent human rights institutions, with academia, but most importantly, with the rights holders, with children, young people, and their families. This is how we ensure to have children's rights respected. This is how we ensure a better present, a better future for our children.